video. Hopefully this one works a little bit better for you. So this video is going to briefly go over the Articles 4, 5, and probably 6 and 7. So Article 4 deals with relationships among the states. The Privileges and Immunities of Citizens Clause is the first part of that article that we want to look at. And this one tells you that you can't be treated differently in a state just because you are not from that state. Okay, so everybody has to be treated the same, even if you are from a different state. The Full Faith and Credit Clause is kind of like the Privileges and Immunities of Citizens Clause, but it's for states. So every state has to honor the acts, laws, recordings, all of the official stuff from every other state. You have to give full faith and credit to every other state. So just basically a way of maintaining equality among the states throughout the country. The next part is extradition. So if you commit a crime in Missouri, for example, and then you flee to California, the state of California has to extradite you back to Missouri in order to be charged and put on trial for your crime, okay? Even if you're caught in California, you can't be charged and tried in California because that's not where the crime was committed. Now, Article 4, Section 3 of the Constitution only applies to the United States. So if you are a criminal and you flee to another country, then it really just depends on the relationship America has with that other country as to whether or not you'll be extradited. And lastly, admissions of new states and territories. So we haven't had a new state in a hot second, but if we are ever to expand territorially, it's pretty much up to Congress, okay? So if we want to make a state out of an existing state, so maybe we have Missouri and we want to have East and West Missouri, that would go before a vote of Congress. It would also have to be approved by the state legislature, okay? If we wanted to create a state out of two existing states, for example, to shrink the number of states instead of expand it. For example, we could like erase the line between North and South Dakota. That would have to go before both of those state legislative bodies and the United States Congress. Okay. All right. Article 5, amending the Constitution. And for this one, I would probably make a chart in your notes. There are two ways that an amendment can be proposed in the United States. The first way is by a 2/3 vote in each House of Congress. So 2/3 of the House of Representatives and 2/3 of the Senate would have to vote to propose that amendment, okay? After it gets enough support in Congress, then it has to go to the states. The second way an amendment can be proposed is through a 2/3 vote in a constitutional convention. So the states vote in a convention. We've never used that method before. The two ways that an amendment can be ratified both deal with 3/4 of something. So the first way an amendment can be ratified is by a 3/4 vote in each of the state legislatures. And the second way it can be ratified is by a 3/4 vote. Well, 3/4 of the states have to vote in a special convention for that, okay? So we've used the first method of proposing and the first method of ratifying 26 out of 27 times. And the second method of ratifying has been used one time, and that was for the passage of the 21st Amendment. Next, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to Supremacy of National Law. And this basically tells us that if there's ever a question between a state law and a federal law, if they're ever in conflict, the state law is going to supersede or it's going to be supreme, okay? And we'll talk about a few exceptions to that in class. And lastly, Article 7 of the Constitution deals with ratification. So this is the article that we really don't spend a whole lot of time on anymore because it's already been ratified. Okay, so in order for the Constitution to take effect, it had to be ratified or approved by 3/4 of the states. And at that time, that was 9 out of the 13 states. That is all. If you have any questions, let me know.